It more than likely happened more than 3 times. It was just like people could have left the company or they just weren't there, or there are people who probably still just didn't say anything. Because, sometimes you're on the water cooler, hey, I got a party to go to tonight. Or my birthday's next week, we're going to have something. I can see them showing up at everybody's events, which is crazy to me.
They could have showed up to the wrong person's house. I'm trying to tell you.
They don't want to show up to my family's events, like for real. Then the safety factor of now, 3 people reported you, and you have those 3 individuals' addresses. So there's still a safety factor to this.
Right.
The other part is the HR manager saw nothing wrong with it. Do you remember the part of the story where she was like, well, they're on paid leave, but when they come back, there should have been no when they come back, and it shouldn't have been paid leave.
It shouldn't have been no paid leave. And if I was a young lady, I would have felt like I got slapped in the face. So that's why I'm so excited that she actually went out and seeked a employment law attorney, because she mentioned, the HR manager mentioned that they were on leave with pay, and when they come back, she's going to put them in DEI training, and then only offer her 2 weeks of PTO, 2 additional weeks of PTO. No, ma'am. So much could have happened. So I'm glad that she got the attorney to share with her all the rights that she had, what was violated, which ways that they should go, because she was lost and she was just showing up to work like nothing happened, but she knew it was wrong. So I'm glad that she stepped out and listened to her mother, because her mother said, I taught you better than this. And so you do what you got to do. So, and I'm glad that she did.
Like, there's so many things wrong with this story. But I will say this. In this situation, and CEOs of startups, medium-sized, large companies, hiring the wrong person into your HR team, especially the management, could be detrimental. Because that CEO might never know anybody. Because the HR manager said what they did was okay. So imagine the other people who came to complain about other stuff, and HR manager was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to sweep this under the rug. So I wonder if there's going to be more lawsuits coming down the pipe, because they're going to be like, they did the same thing to me last year. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a birthday party they just showed up to. I had this. We had an anniversary party. Like, just think about the big things that you might talk to your coworkers about, not thinking in a million years that they're going to show up without an invitation.
Right. And, when they launched that investigation, and she was like nervous because, and to go back a little bit, the only reason why she sought out to get a attorney, one, because her mother, was guiding her, but 2, the slap in the face from that HR manager. And then 3, it was like, it's not that serious, and try to make it seem like she was angry. An angry person who's taking something out of context, and it's not, and that wasn't true. Her privacy was violated, and so it was a legit concern. And for the HR manager to just sweep it under the rug like it's no big deal. And then when they launched the investigation, they realized that the HR manager has been doing this for a very long time and sharing very, personal information with other colleagues. So a lot of stuff came to the light to where the CEO was forced to let her go. And I'm not sure if he wanted to let her go, because I don't know the full story, but it did share in the story that the CEO eventually terminated the HR manager that was in place. But yeah, she thought it was all right.
And the other part to the story is the Black woman was not the one who brought it to the office. He didn't say anything.
Nope, she wanted to keep the peace.
Got arrested are the ones who brought it up and tried to make a stink out of it, because they were like, we're going to turn the office against her. She did something wrong. Mm-hmm. You came into her house, told her what she was going to do, and you weren't going to leave, assaulted police officers while yelling Black Lives Matter, which is utterly ridiculous. And then you show up to work to try to get her in trouble. Like, you did nothing wrong. The audacity is crazy to me. and then to have HR back these two individuals up.
They did. And when they
Which
lost that, go ahead.
no, I'm saying the fact that HR backed them up, just from what we've done in the past, this is not the first time.
And I know.
It's the first time.
I know it's not. And you know what? She probably got away with a lot that was unseen, but a lot also came to the light when they did that investigation. And she did not want that investigation to happen. So she thought saying, I'll give you 2 extra weeks of PTO time was going to hush her and just keep it going. I'm going to put them in DEI training and then suspend them. But you suspended them without pay. So now that the investigation has been launched, the HR manager is gone, and so is those 2 employees. And then this was the kicker when I read a little bit more into the story, is the man was married with children and was actually having an affair with the other young lady at the job. So the wife found out about everything that happened with them showing up to people's house, because she didn't know, showing up to the house. And then it came out throughout the investigation that they were also having an affair. So I don't know the outcome of what happened in that situation, but literally everything comes out. So I'm always a believer that what's done in the dark will always come to the light. And so even though it worked for this HR manager for a few years, as either terminating people wrongfully or doing whatever she wanted to do. And I'm just coming up with this because I didn't say this in the story, but if she can do that, I can imagine what she was doing in that role. And that's why I came back on her. And that's why she's
a lot in situations like this with companies. As soon as they see it, that something online, oh, they're getting sued. What did they get sued for? Oh, they did that to me 3 years ago. They did that to me last year. There are so many people who are now going to come forward because technically she was still a bully. Whether they say it to 2 people who came to everybody's house, they're bullying their coworkers. The HR manager is bullying them, saying what you're going through is not that big a deal. That's bullying. Yeah. Let's be clear. So it's okay in this company. Like that company is going to have more than one settlement because when they see what the young Black woman got, I know the Asian person and the Hispanic person, I know they went after it too. Like, hold up, what? Okay, this is the exact same thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it or get kicked out.
And now it goes into why these policies are important to implement within your organization, why training is important. And like you mentioned, Wilford, it is extremely important on the type of talent that you hire for your organization because it can make or break your company. It can slow you down a lot. It can break your company. And right now it slowed that company down because that settlement, I'm sure, was not low. And then if the other ones come forward, and like you mentioned, some probably left, found out about the story and wanted to come up and speak too. And depending on what type of investigation that they were doing and looking at other people's files and stuff, or audits that they were doing as well, a lot of things could have came to the light. So like you mentioned, she probably wasn't the only one that got a settlement out of this. It's probably multiple ones, which could have caused the death of the organization or slowed it down.
And you said something earlier. It could have caused the death of a person. You just showing up to somebody's house. It could be death. It could be rape. It could be attack. It could be harassment. It could be so many different things. But unless you give somebody your address, that does not feel good for them.
It doesn't. And vice versa. Like that HR manager was actually putting those people in harm too, that she gave the address to.